Here we go again. Time to start assembling. First thing I'm going to do is get the rotor here centralized. Don't worry about the greasy finger marks all over it. I'm not going to leave it like that, but I want to get it set up first. And then I'll take it all off, clean it up, and then do the final assembly. All of these components are ones that have to go in, the pins, the shims to centralize the rotor. Geez, come on, brain, you can do this. Obviously the locking plates for the handbrake, the retainers for the handbrake. This is the main brakes, and with that we will use these pins to hold them in here because they go through there. You have to make sure you put them in the right way too. Don't make a mess of that by putting the pin in this way, because you won't be able to get it out. You have to go in this way, and then the clip goes through there. I'm not sure yet whether or not I will be making up the brake pipe to go on it, because I'm not quite sure what setup the customer's going to use, and I really don't want to make up the pipe if he decides he wants to do it a different way. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Got the shafts here; they're ready now. They can go in. Everything's been painted and coated. Got the rivets here ready for the shields to go on. We'll get those shields put on. I'm waiting for the Jubilee clips or hose clamps, whatever you want to call them, that go around there. So I'll just have to rest them on there for the time being and get the rivets in. Rivet. So let's get on with it. I will try and give you the best view I can, and I've been trying to figure out how best, because best for me is not necessarily best for your view. What I might try and do is do it from above. Maybe that way, if you're looking down like that, that might be better. I think that's probably what I'll do. We'll try. All right, as you can see, that is not central. Now, I've put this rotor on without any shims on the inside because I needed a base to start from, and 0 is a good base to start from. Then I've measured down in here the gap between the rotor and the part of the caliper that's machined, and the same on this side. In fact, I think I can show you with my finger from the other side this gap here on both sides, here and then on the other side. Okay, and the inside is 44 thousandths of an inch, and the outside is 110 thousandths of an inch. And I just did that with good old trusted feeler gauges, and then just kept deducting them until I could get it in there nice and easy. So what I need to do now is move about 30 thou that away. Should be 33, but I don't think I'm going to find 33 thousandths. When you're putting this caliper on, by the way, it's easier to put the bolts in the caliper before you try and offer it up, purely because you foul on the differential all the time. The other thing that I've done is I just use these spacers so that I could push the rotor up without having to mess around with the bloody great half shaft. And I didn't want to use these nuts because these are the final ones, and they're locking nuts, so you don't want to be winding the locking nuts on and off all the time because that destroys them. So I just got a couple of other nuts and I just pinched it up, didn't go crazy, just pinch it up. So now I've got to take it all off, put the 30 thou on the inside, do it all up again, recheck the measurement, and if I'm good, then move on to the other side. The customer may have to buy more of these shims to get the camber. I think it's the camber. Oh geez, I always get them confused with the camber and the caster. Anyway, you know that one. It makes the wheel go out. Oh dear, I'm sorry. My brain hurts sometimes. No, that's when I can find it. Okay, so let me get that one off and we'll take it from there. Just a little hint for you guys. When you're going to do this, use ratchet spanners. Okay, And when you're taking it on and off, as you will have to set it up, when it comes to taking it off, crack the top nut and make sure that it's a top bolt, and make sure that it's finger loose. Then undo the bottom one fully. What happens when you undo the bottom one fully, of course, it'll fall on the shaft and then you can't get it out. It's not possible. So then you undo this with your fingers and you can lift everything out of the way. One more little tip. These are 5/8 and the nuts that go on there are 11/16, and that's true of the final nuts as well. No, those ones don't matter, but these ones do. Okay. Now these shims, they are 20/1000ths of an inch, and I need to get about 30. I just tried it with 2 shims on there, which obviously makes it 40/1000ths. It's way too much. I'm hoping that just one single shim will do it, and I don't have to purchase some other shims. We will see. Right, hopefully you're getting a good view from up there. I believe this camera does get a decent angle. I've already cleaned the other side. I'm just going to clean this side now. This is something you should always do because these rotors are covered in a protective spray coating. I think it's sprayed. Now, next thing I'm going to do is give it a bit of grease. I'm going to smear it all over. Schmear. What was that from? I think it was from Red Dwarf. I'm just going to put it on this shim here. Shim shalabim. Okay. Just a little light smear. Don't want to put too much on there. Okay. And now, being very careful not to smear. Things are going together. Right. Next, the caliper. In here. Careful with those bolts. Put them in. Just make sure they're not gone too far. Then slide it on. Hope you like the top of my head. Get the top one started. Be very careful not to cross thread. It's easy to do with these because you're trying to hold the weight of the caliper. And sometimes you get it crossed and then it gets very angry. Crossed, angry. Yes, okay, it's pathetic 12-year-old humour. Keep telling you guys, I'm an adult with a 12-year-old brain. Actually, it's probably quite pickled too. Pickled brain. I guess that's better than being a pickled herring. Well, the herrings might disagree, I guess. Okay, now. Sorry, you can't see this. You can't see me playing with me bolts. But this is where you see that having a ratchet is so much better. How would you describe a ratchet? It's a little bit bigger than a mouse chip. Okay. Now I've got to really make these nice and tight. Now, I did think of putting Loctite on these, but decided not to. Why? Well, the locking wire will hold it, so it shouldn't come loose. I've got it good and tight, so it shouldn't come loose. If I put Loctite on there as well, and somebody wants to take this caliper off, it's bad enough that they've got to get in there, but getting in there with the Loctite on the bolt, that would be a real nightmare for them. Right. Next is the Handbrake mechanism. And this has a number of components. So, I've already greased in there so that this will fit on nicely, he says. Oh yes, you're seeing the, of course, the rotor will jiggle wiggle dee piggle dee, and the reason that it will do that is because I haven't got the flange on there yet, and I'm going to do that in a minute, but I wanted to get the brake mechanism on there first. Why? Just because I did. Simple as that. Now, with this brake mechanism, handbrake, no, it's not an emergency brake, it's a handbrake. You need lots of little components. That being one, the bolts being two, and this being three. Oh no, what a bloody setup, huh? It's a Jaguar. And I like to grease me pins. Not a tremendous amount, again, just a, you know, aid. Just give it nice and, yeah. I love wearing work shirts, you just wipe your hands on them. Now the trick is going to be getting these in the holes. Never easy. Because you think you got them lined up and then you discover you go nowhere fucking near. You know, you see, I thought I was there. Gosh. Oh, it's a little bugger of a job. I'm going to turn the camera off now and let me get this lined up. Okay, finally got it all in. Look at it carefully. There's a mistake, and I'll get to that in a minute. However, how the hell did they put these all things together on the production line? Such a fiddly job, but there you go. Now on this, I like to put it this way round. I don't suppose it makes a great deal of difference, but I didn't want it restricting this brass tensioner. So I like to put the flanges here, and then I'm going to bend them up. As you can see, I've got them pretty darn close to level. I'll bend these ones up, and then I'll bend these ones in. Have you spotted the mistake yet? Dim pads are in wrong way. Well, actually it doesn't matter, because it turns out I've only got one set of pads, so that's not any good. So they're going in the trash, and I'm ordering new ones, and those I can fit later without a problem. It's just a matter of doing the nut, and then you just slide them straight out. Oh, but do note, there are two different sizes. One's 1.5 inches across here, the other's 1 3/4. So when you're doing it, make sure you get the right ones, otherwise you're going to be awfully upset. All right, next task is, well, actually I'm going to take the pads out. That's my next task. Then I'm going to, yeah, but I think I'll put the brake pads in next. And I will put a little grease here too. Metal to metal. Wherever you're doing metal to metal on brakes, it's a good idea just to put a little light grease. Then I'll do the one on the other side, and then we'll put the shafts on. Gosh, isn't this exciting? Now, oh, do note, this pin is not bent fully. There's a reason for that, because obviously you need to set this screw with the pads, and that's done by you get it in close, and then you give a few Yankee Dinky doodles on this and pump it in and out. All right? So let me get the other one all built up and put together. Then we'll put the shaft on. Okay, back in a few moments. Well, I wasn't really going to show this side, but there's a couple of things you might want to know. Just look at this. The differential is obviously offset, which means there's not so much room on this side. So getting to these bolts is a real pain. This one not quite so bad. This one's a real pig. So you can't even get your ratchety spanner in there. You have to, use an open end. Fortunately, with the rotors now in, in position, I can now flip it on the back without damaging that cover. And had I damaged that cover, it's not a big deal because the customer's not using it. However, he does want to sell them, and I would have to bash it back out to straightness. So we're getting there. Boy, are we getting there. So next thing is to centralize this rotor. As I'm sure you can see, it's way off. Not much of a gap there, and I'm almost get my penis in this side, and there'd be some room. So I now have to move that rotor out. So I take a measurement, and I would guess I'm going to be looking at somewhere between 40 and 60 thou off. Wow. But hey, 'tis what it is. Well, here she is. I'm sorry. In my book, that looks absolutely amazing. Things I have done since the last clip. Obviously, I have wired the brake calipers on. They ain't going nowhere. I didn't put Loctite on them because that would be just way too much and would be an absolute nightmare for any poor bugger that has to work on it. The handbrake mechanisms are on. Oh, I've still got to remove these old pads, ready for the new ones, which will hopefully be arriving in a few days' time. I'm told next week. The brake pads are in and the pins are in. See, look, that's where the pins belong. Again, ticks me off. There was one pin short. Oh, okay, I happen to have a spare one. And I'm talking about this little clip. But how difficult is it? You know, count up to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is a 4 in there? Yeah, fucking great. Terrific. All right. So, next job is to bend up these flanges. Didn't want to do that until I was pretty sure everything's okay, which it is. So I'm going to bend up those flanges within the next 2 or 3 minutes. And once I've done that, then... Oh, and there's a tube missing here. I do have it. It's not going to be used. As I said, this cover is going to be replaced. So my next task, I'm sorry, it's probably with the light coming in from the outside, it's not too clear. Unfortunately, this was rather a pitted brake caliper mechanism, but I'm sorry, that's what happens with things that are this old. Next will also be, once I've got it on here, because it's now getting to the point where it's so heavy, it's hard for me to maneuver. So I need to get it onto here so I can maneuver it around my shop, actually just my home garage, and then get things, the shafts put on. And then, what am I waiting for? Oh, I'm waiting for the tool so that I can get the hub assemblies completed, and then I can put that on. And once I've got that done, it shouldn't take long for me to finish this and give it back to the customer, and then he can start playing with it and put it in his toy. I'm not sure what level his toy is at the moment, but there you go. Oh, and the thing I was talking about earlier that I couldn't remember the damn name, it's the camber, the wheel. Me. It's the camber. Don't ask me why I couldn't think of that. Probably because I'm stupid. Hey, who agreed with me? Any of you agree with me? You're going to have to stay late after school. So yeah, I finally got that in my brain, so it just suddenly clicked in. Camber, dum-dum. Caster is front to back. Camber is, what should I say, top to bottom? Top to bottom? Yeah, that's not quite right, is it? Left to right? In or out? There you go, leaning in or out. And something that what's his name? Jag Mods. Give you a shout out, Jag Mods. That I didn't realise, and God knows why I didn't, but I didn't. These rotors, and it's not held on, of course, with the holes here rather than overlapping the area there, that tells you this is a Salisbury axle, apparently. And if it had the holes that overlapped this bevel, that would be a Dana. Very strange. especially because on my one, the bearings are the same as the Dana 44. Yet, according to Jag Mods, with these rotors, it's Salisbury, but I do want to throw a caveat there because he did say that they fit on both. So this still could be a Dana 44. It's a 3.07 ratio. Ratio? Yes, Nelson. So who knows, this, because this axle was a Bitzer, in other words, it came in parts to me. So and again, I don't have a firking clue what the hell it came out of. So, you know, I buy parts and they're wrong and I have to send them back, or I just swallow the cost and then buy the correct parts. And I've got to give a shout out again to S&G Barrett, Frank, who is the guy that I deal with there all the time. He's on the East Coast. He is so helpful and so knowledgeable. I grant you, you know, we all don't know everything about everything, but he is so helpful. He sorts shit out. If you call, leave him a message, he actually calls you back. How about that for novel? There you go. That's what you call customer service. And SNG Barrett excel at that. Or maybe it's just Frank, I don't know, but I got a funny feeling it's the whole company. Oh, and I just want to relay another little story, which is absolutely nothing to do with the Jaguar IRS. One of my friends, a elderly lady who's living on a very tight budget, bought a AAA battery approximately a year ago. And she changed vehicles and she's been ill. So consequently, she did not use the vehicle for some time. Then she called AAA and said, hey, you know, can't start the vehicle. He came out, bear in mind the battery is 1 year old, and said, well, oh, you've screwed it up, lady. It's your fault, it's not under the warranty because there's nothing wrong with the battery. Bullshit. A battery can drain in a year and be recharged without a problem. The sulfation will not cause a problem. The damn thing was only a year old. AAA, put your hands up. Stop fucking customers, especially poor ladies who haven't got a great deal of money. And you're screwing them. That battery probably cost you $25 and you're screwing her. That's wrong. Anybody from AAA watching this? Send me an email and I'll make sure I pass it on to her, because you guys are disgusting to do such a thing. Sorry, bit of a rant there. All right, back to the IRS. She's done, she's ready to rock and roll. Up here are my not mine, the beautiful, come on, H-frame, there I go again, not the right word. Next, we will grease all of these bearings. They're dry at the moment. And we'll get that baby put on there. But I can't do that until I've pressed in the hubs. They're not pressed in at the moment. They just sit there. Oh, and you know what they are, don't you? And if you don't, this is your teaser. What are these pieces and why did I put them on the studs? I put them on the studs so I didn't lose them. They go down in here. And you have shims in between them. Shim, shim, shalabim. So yes, these aren't, they're just resting there. Packed full of grease, ready to go, but I can't do anything until I got my special tool. And I do have a very nice special tool, but we won't go into that, will we, boys? Sorry, got carried away again. Oh dear. All right, now let's look at it this way. It looks prettier because you can see more shit. All right, do please like, comment, subscribe, ding the dong. And if you feel like buying me a beer, there is a PayPal me link that I've listed at the end, and you can send me money to buy a beer or camera equipment or whatever. If you want to buy me a beer, you just say buy beer, and I will personally thank you. All right. You know what's coming. Like, comment, subscribe, get out of that garage and do some shit.